We're going to do the final assembly of all of our pieces. I've got my cabinets that I've made previously, the top here, and then the base that is now put together. I want you to notice that I've got this top on these whiteboards. That's because they're clean. I'm nervous about putting this nice top, all freshly lacquered, on the table where it will get scratched and dented. These whiteboards are clean and nice, and you can find these over in the guitar area. The guitar students use them all the time to work on their guitar to avoid the same problem. So grab some and use them underneath your project. Now I'm going to take and mount this first. It goes upside down. And I'm just going to get it centered. Now I've already marked tape here so that I know where it goes. But I just started measuring, so I'm 4 1/4. And then I'll look at the other side and make sure that it is the same. Also 4 1/4. Same thing front to back. That guy is about 2 9/16. And back here, also 2 9/16. And then I mark those. I could use Sharpie or a pencil or a pen, and all those things don't write very well on lacquer. Well, Sharpie does, but I don't really want to mark it up with Sharpie. So tape seems to work pretty good. Now, how do we attach this thing to the top is by screws. And we're going to need some 2 1/2 inchers that are going to go through the apron and into the top. And it's going to penetrate about that far. That's not deep enough. I want it to penetrate about 3/4. And that just means that my countersink is going to need to go down in a little bit farther. So one goes there, one will go there. 1, 2, 3, 4. The same thing on the other end. I won't be putting anything along here, no need. Four screws. Now, if your top has a little bit of bow in it or twist, which happens, you can suck it down tight to that apron just by putting a clamp on it. I'm going to scoot this out a little ways. Make sure you got something to protect underneath. Cinch that down so it's good and tight. I'm going to use a countersink, so I'm going right there. Remember, I need to go down about 1/4 of an inch. That so that screw has a place to grab, enough to grab into the top. I'm going to do that to all 4 of these. That one I already did previously. I'm also going to get the other side. That's good. Now I have to worry about expansion and contraction. That means this top is going to be moving back and forth, and I can't just secure it with screws without thinking about that. So what I want to do is give that screw a little bit of movement, and the way I'm going to do that is open up that hole just a little bit more with a 3/16 bit. hang this off a little ways so that I can open up, go all the way through to the other side. Now the other thing I want to do is put a little bit of reaming. Right, so that screw is coming through like this. And I want it to be able to shift just slightly so that as that top expands and contracts, it can kind of just shift with it. And to do that, I put the bit in and I'm going to ream it like this. Kind of elongates the hole, and that'll be plenty. I'll do that for all of these. I need to do it to the other side too. All right, I'm going to blow all this off, clamp it down, and we'll attach. Using an impact driver now to put those screws in. Okay, the other side now. Excellent. Okay, next step is to put the cabinets in. Now we're going to do the same thing with these, that is, find the center location. As far as dimensions here, the plan gives us suggestions, but my top has changed a little bit, the base has changed a little bit, and I would like to keep this fairly even, those spaces, and that calls for 1.5 inches here. So I want to keep that flush, and knowing that, then I'm going to move this box so that it's equal here, right? So I'll measure from the post over, which is about 2 1/8 right now, and I want this one to also be at 2 1/8. And then I'll also measure from the front, which on my case is 7/8, and then also in the back to make sure it's 7/8. Once that's good, then I mark the top so that it's in an accurate spot. Same thing with the other side. Do 7/8 out. 7/8 out, that looks good. I'll mark it with tape where it lands. Now the question is, how do we screw this down and how do we screw this down? As far as this one goes, we could go from the apron into the bottom, but I'd rather do the reverse because this is thin and that's thick, so there's more meat here to grab onto. And I can do that inside because I've got 2 drawers covering, right? The rule is I can put a screw and leave the head as long as I can't see it, looking at the desk from above. The question is always, how do I get into here? So let's attach this one to here first. And we have some tools that help us do this. They're called angle attachments. And it gives us a right angle. And there's the countersink, and there's the Phillips driver. Now it's just a matter of going in like this, and we can drill straight down. I'll set these up on my drill, just like I would a regular bit. And I'll put this one on my driver, my impact driver. That's going to go in there. Now I've got, can put a screw in there also. Okay, let's drill these holes out. And I found that marking them worked really well. And even though it's dark in there, right, I can measure over and get my mark. And then the light of this, right, when I get it in there, I can now see it. I'm going to put one there. I'm going to put another one there. So I'm going to have 4 along that side. I'm going to have 1 there on the apron and then 1 back there on the apron. Now there's another thing we have to account for, and that is that I need to open up these holes as well. So I'm going to use my 3/16 bit. And drill up those holes and open them up. And I'm going to ream them this direction. Right? Because there's movement in the wood this way. And I'll do that on all 4 of them. Let's talk about connecting this way into here. I'll get this back where it belongs. Now I can do this by measurement inside too, but I think it might just be easier since it's all visible, is I'm going to put a piece of tape just inside. So I'm going to put a screw on the post, 1 on the post there, and I want to put 2 more right in the middle. So I'm just going to put a piece of tape here, and I can drill a hole halfway in, which is 3/8 on the other side of that, on the other side of this one also. And this countersink bit will work just fine. I'm not going to go all the way in with the countersink, just enough to get through it, and then I'll have to countersink up from the other side. So I'm coming in 3/8 of an inch. And I'm eyeballing it now. You could, take your rule and 3/8 of an inch in. Excellent. Now I'm going to come in through with the countersink, and then I'll ream it out with a 3/16, then we're ready to put it in place. barely fitting on there. And that works. There. It's not going anywhere because that clamps on it, which is nice. Make sure those screw heads go all the way in. You don't want any drawers catching on screws as they go in and out. Okay, now I got the other side to do. Then we can flip the desk over and take a look. Okay, I've got this side all put in now. Feels pretty good. You'll notice this leg was a little bit slanted, a little bit warped from the other piece, and so I put a clamp on it here to kind of hold it over. You'll notice I also put this clamp on it to also hold it. Now I'm ready to flip this over, and we clean it off, flip it over, and take a look at it. I'm going to get my trusty assistant. Very secure. Move it back a little ways so we can look at it. Excellent. I put 2 screws in that leg to really secure it. I like that idea, and I think I'm going to do the same thing over here. Put 1 more screw in it. I'll pull the tape off, put the drawers in, and smile.